Well, good Monday morning to you. Welcome to our Monday morning live edition of Healthy Living South Mississippi. Live healthy, be healthy with Doctors Jim and Janine Fox of Doctors Nutrition, located on Cowan Road in Gulfport, just south of Pass Road. This is the show where you are invited to call in and talk about things that deal with health issues you may be having, or maybe someone may be having, trying to clean up your lifestyle. Well, that's what it's all about, leading a healthier lifestyle. Our phone lines are 896-0713 or 800-349-0713. You can call in and either ask them personally or pass the question along to our operator, and they will pass the question along to us. Now, the first Monday of every month, we do what's called the Open Line Monday. So basically, we talk about anything that ails you.
Yeah, anything,
What
whatever.
are you having a problem with? And I think one of the big things right now, this time of the year, is a lot of people with the change in climate and everything, is probably one thing, allergies.
Yeah, I mean, if you look around and just think about all the stuff that's blooming right now. I mean, the wild flowers, things out in the woods, and even the things that we have, that we planted, gardens and stuff that's blooming. And a lot of people are just allergic to a lot of this stuff. And so, they think allergy season's like maybe in the fall when the ragweed's out or goldenrod, and then perhaps a little bit early spring, but hey, right in the middle of summer here in South Mississippi, we can have some pretty good allergy stuff.
Yeah, it depends on the person and what they're allergic to, because everybody's going to be different, and they may not have allergies at certain times of the year when everybody else does, but then when they start having problems at this time of the year, they don't know what it is. But we have seen in a lot of people where it is allergies.
And of course, the bees may love all the blooms.
Well, they love it.
But I'm sure your beehives are probably
they're
thriving right now.
Thriving right now. They're going crazy. But and there's, because you look around, there's stuff blooming everywhere. I mean, everywhere.
And of course, you have people that say, well, one of the things you need to do is get you some good natural honey and all that, and maybe take some of that. But then people will go to the store and buy it off the shelf, and that's the worst thing that you can do.
Yeah, the best place to go is the farmer's market.
Yeah,
because you do want local honey, and right now honey's kind of we usually carry local honey from other people, and we can't even get it right now because they don't have enough to sell. So
really,
it's kind of been a weird season, so we don't actually have. There's not a lot of good local honey out there, but farmers market's where you're going to find them, because a lot of the local bee people will keep it to sell at farmers market instead of selling it at stores like us.
Right.
So just go to the farmers market if you do need some local honey.
And of course, there's great farmers markets all over the Gulf Coast throughout the week that you can take advantage of. And of course, while you're there, get yourself some fresh vegetables instead of buying the canned stuff, which a lot of people do. As you always say, whenever you go to the grocery store, stay on the perimeter.
Definitely.
Stay on the perimeter of that.
What's really interesting, last night we were watching a show about the, it's called Unwrapped. It's on the Cooking Channel, I believe.
Yes.
And it shows you some of the things that they do, like mass-produced foods. And of course, they're always putting in this secret ingredient. Now, come on. If it's, tell us what it is.
Well, one thing that was scary, we were watching, there was a can of beans, and we're not going to say the brand, but a very common can. They actually put the beans in and then the sauce in and cooked it in the can, which the cans are known to have BPA in the lining. So they were actually heating these cans to cook them in the can, and we were like, ooh, that's another reason not to eat them. But,
that would be a last-ditch effort if you're out in the woods camping somewhere and you say, I need to heat up some beans, and there you go. Renee from Biloxi is on the phone with us with a question on kidney stones. Good morning, Renee.
Yeah, how you doing, sir?
Doing great, doing great.
Yes, I've just been diagnosed with kidney stones in both of my kidneys.
Okay.
And I'm getting all these different directions from different people telling me this, telling me that. And I don't know which way to go.
Do you know what type of stones they are?
Calcium.
Okay.
Drink milk.
Well, actually, not always. I mean, now, first thing on any kidney stones is keep hydrated. Dehydration is one of your main reasons to have kidney stones.
Or have problems with them, right.
Now, other things that we found over the years to help, and I used to have kidney stones myself in my kidneys. I never passed them, thank goodness, but I mean, you can see them on x-rays. And I dissolved them using potassium citrate and magnesium citrate. And even medically, they use potassium citrate for kidney stones. But I like using it with the magnesium citrate together. But it does take the citrate form of those in order to help. But lots of water.
Lots of water.
Lots of water.
And see, drinking the water makes me nervous because I don't want them to move around and start all
No.
over.
Not drinking water is going to make them worse. So just think about that. So
Gosh.
lots of water, because dehydration really is one of the biggest reasons people get kidney stones. Do you work outside or sweat a lot or anything?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then that's
Drink
one of the
lots of water.
causes. Yeah.
You need to be drinking enough water, Renee, so that every hour and a half or so, you're having to stop and use the restroom. And if you're not having to do that, then you're not drinking enough water. Just increasing that water, and it will make a world of difference.
I think I've seen the statistics with the potassium citrate and the magnesium in the water. It can prevent 90% of stones.
Yeah.
Pretty high percentage, yes.
But having them at both kidneys now, is that a problem with kidney failure?
Well, if they got big enough to
yeah.
block the thing, yeah, sure.
If they get big enough to block the kidneys, but a lot of times, you know, they don't. Mine were that one time big enough to block them. One of them was the size of a quarter, and now I don't have them. But that's when I was young. Probably didn't drink enough water. It was when I was in college. But everybody in my family's had kidney stones, so it kind of runs in the family also. But now I drink tons of water and don't have a problem. So there are things that you can do, and don't be scared to drink water, because that is your best thing you can do.
Right, and that's what they say. And also, they too large to pass.
Yes.
Well, yeah. So you have to dissolve them, and that's where the citric acid comes in. That, you know, that potassium citrate is known to keep it very acidic, and that tends to break down those oxalate stones. Just kind of dissolves them over time.
All right. Thanks, Renee,
Thank
for your
you.
call. Samson from Scotia is on the phone. Samson, you having some problems sleeping?
Yes, I am.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I'm 68 years old, and I have a problem going to sleep. I turn my television off. I go to bed at 10 o'clock and turn all the electronic devices off. My computer don't use it a couple hours before, but I'm laying in bed half hour later, I'm eyes wide open. I can't sleep, you know. And then I get up and I read 20 minutes, and I go, you know, I get drowsy and I sleep for about 4 hours, and I wake up. So
Do you have a lot of stress?
That's what my doctor keeps asking me.
Well, that's what my first question to people when they tell me that. Especially men. Women tend to have more trouble sleeping than men, but you do see men that do have trouble. But when they do, a lot of times you think about the stress hormone being too high. You don't think you do?
I don't think I have that much stress.
Here's the thing about it. You know, you may not think you have, but your body can't tell the difference between, you know, a perceived or fictional stress, so to speak, and real stress. So it may be a response that your body's having
to something else going on.
That you might think's okay.
And you might want to come, I mean, we can check the stress hormone and see if that's part of the issue, because you can actually do a blood test to check it. But that's one thing. Now we have a formula called Best Rest Formula. If you come by, we'll give you a sample of it. We give out samples because it either works or it don't. But then if it doesn't work, then you got to try to figure out why. So if you come by, we'll give you a sample of that one and just see if it works for you. But then if not, you got to figure out what's keeping you awake.
There's a reason.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
All right. Thanks for the call.
Thank
you. We'll be right back. Shelby from Gaucher is on the phone, and Shelby will be right back with you in just a moment. It's our Monday Morning Live edition. It's Open Line Monday here on Healthy Living South Mississippi. Live healthy, be healthy. And welcome back to our Monday Morning Live edition of Healthy Living South Mississippi. Live healthy, be healthy with Drs. Jim and Janine Fox of Doctors Nutrition on Cowan Road in Gulfport. And we mentioned during the break that sometimes low testosterone.
Low testosterone in men can also affect sleep. So the last caller was about sleep and men, and we were talking about low testosterone. I've definitely seen can affect that too. So it's another thing to actually have checked.
And also the melatonin, because as we age, our melatonin production kind of goes down. And, you know, you can get to a point where it's too low and we have difficulty sleeping.
But even like the testosterone and melatonin can affect each other because they're both hormones. So that's another thing for the last caller.
Right.
Okay. Shelby from Gaucher. Good morning, Shelby. You have a question for the doctors?
Yes, I do. I can't take vitamin D3.
Okay.
But my level is really, really low. And my doctor told me that I need to take it. Of course, you can do other things, but I don't drink milk or anything like that. So just wondering what I could do.
Is there a reason you can't take it, or it makes you sick?
It makes me sick.
Have you tried doing lower levels?
Well, yes.
Because I have another couple of patients that can't do the high dose either. Every once in a while, you'll hit somebody that can't do the high dose D, and we'll do we'll do a little bit as they can, because some is better than none. But really, if you can't take the D3, your only other option is the sun.
Sun exposure.
And you want to go out in the sun, but you don't want sunscreen, because that'll actually keep you from producing it. And you want to almost get a little pink in order to make vitamin D as well. So you got to stay out there long enough to get a little pink.
Now you can put sunscreen on your face.
Right.
Okay. But like on the rest of your body, and you need, you know, when we talk about going out in the sun and getting, you know, the sun exposure, we're we're talking about a pretty good amount of sun exposure over the whole body, not
Right.
just like
so
your arms.
you do need
Yeah.
to wear a bathing suit, or you do need to wear something where
Right.
you have a lot of skin showing. Just going out and having a little bit of your arm showing ain't going to be enough to make vitamin D.
No.
So
Okay.
if you cover up, it prevents it from producing. But really, all the research has showed it's hard to get from your food supply. It really is.
Yeah.
Sun-dried shiitake mushrooms and wild reindeer are two of the ones they mentioned. And I've never seen
Wild
wild
caught-
reindeer.
No,
Not
wild caught
locally,
salmon
no.
you can get. Now, reindeer, yeah, you can't get that around
But
here.
those are some of the foods that you can get it from, which are things you don't see a lot around here.
True.
So really, the sunlight's your best bet, but make sure you have a lot of skin exposed when you do it.
All right, Donna from Bay St. Louis is on the phone, who is having some problems with pancreatitis.
Pancreatitis. Okay.
Good morning, Donna.
Good morning.
Morning.
What's your question?
Yes,
Might have to turn your TV down, Donna, because it's a little bit of a delay there, and it's going to throw you off.
It won't turn down.
Okay.
It's always,
Okay.
Okay.
it's always there. Hang on. All right, it's going down.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, there you
What's
go.
your question, Donna?
Okay, I have a pancreatitis. It's my
Yeah.
back.
Now, what was that? You said you had pancreatitis and then something.
It goes to the back.
That goes to the back. You have back pain with it.
Yeah.
Yes. Now, it's common for the pancreas to hurt through the back. Now, are you taking pancreatic enzymes?
No, ma'am.
Okay, that is one of the first things we do with
First
people with
thing.
pancreatitis is, yeah, there are prescription pancreatic enzymes, but we have them that are just as strong as the prescription. So the pancreatic enzymes is the number one thing, and really watching what you eat. Actually, changing the diet does make a difference with pancreatitis.
Sure
and you
does.
don't want your fatty foods, and you definitely don't want your sugar foods. Now, fried foods is when I say fatty foods. Your good fat's okay, but you don't want like avocados or things like that. But you definitely don't want your fried foods, and you definitely don't want your sugar foods, because sugar is going to make it worse. Now, the pancreatic enzymes definitely make a difference.
Big
And so-
difference.
Yeah.
Big difference.
So I would say that would be the number one thing you want to do, because if you help the pancreas, then you're going to help the back pain. But as long as you have the inflammation in that pancreas, you're probably still going to have the pain.
And if you have any other questions, Donna, just call them at their office
Yeah.
at 897-0070. You see the phone number on the screen down there, 897-0070. They open Monday through Friday from 10 to 5, Saturday, or 10 to 5:30, Saturdays 11 to 2, and Jim and Janine are there Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. Dr. Mays is there on Wednesdays and Fridays. So if you have any
Right.
questions. But anyway, thank you
Give
for
us a
your
call. I'm sure you're going to need some help.
This is Open Line Monday, 896-0713, 800-349-0713. You're invited to give us a call about anything that ails you. You're trying to live a better lifestyle, and of course, the older that we get, we've gotten set in our ways.
Well, but it becomes more important, that the older you get, that like, ooh, maybe I really do need to do something to try to stay healthy.
Yeah, and like we always say, prevention is the best thing. So, try to get healthy before you get sick. I mean,
It's like the
I
old
know-
thing, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
Exactly. And a lot of people
Exactly.
wait until they have something wrong to want to change it. And the best thing to do is if you know you're starting to have a few little symptoms, you feel like I have people that come in and they're 48, which is my age, and I have them say, well, I'm just old. I'm like, you are not old. If you're starting to feel
Slap 'em
that.
around a little
if
bit. No, you're not.
If you start to feel that old around 50 and you
Yeah.
really think it's because you're old, it's not. It's something
Something
else
wrong.
going on.
That's
Yeah.
right.
So find out what's going on, do some lab work. Start doing some prevention. Don't wait until it gets to a critical point.
No, they're definitely not. I mean, and like you said, you're only as old as you feel. And I'll be honest
Yeah.
with you, this September, I hit 60. I'll be hitting 60. So, I mean, that's...
And he goes more than almost anybody I know.
I know. I mean, they're always telling you need to slow down. You got to wear yourself out. But
Correct.
hey, it's just the way I like to be. And but I'm on a good regimen of supplements and everything. So and try to eat right the best that I can, except for Thursday nights because it's wing night.
Yeah.
Always have to do those wings on
Everybody
Thursday
has to have something.
That's right. That's right. But anyway, yeah, it really is. Changing your lifestyle. And that's one of the things that this show is all about. Is making some, and you don't have to make dramatic changes. Because a lot of people don't like to do that. But I mean, subtle changes can make a very big difference. They really can.
They can, but and I always go back to a journey of 10,000 miles begins with one step, and you have to do that. You have to
Yes.
take that first step. And if you're in a situation where maybe your health is just not quite what it should be, and you just keep doing the same thing over and over again, you're going to keep getting worse and worse.
Yeah,
And
some-
it's going to get to a point where it gets critical at some point in time.
Some simple things to start with. eliminate high fructose corn syrup. I mean, it's
Right.
the worst thing you could probably have. And so it's in a lot of the
And
packaged
for those
processed foods.
those ketchup lovers out there, they do make it that says
They
right
do.
on the front of the bottle because I
No,
buy it
They
all
Yep.
the
do.
time.
Yep.
They do.
So anyway, but we'll be back in just a moment with our final segment and with today's special for our Monday morning live edition. It's our Open Line Monday here on Healthy Living South Mississippi. Live healthy, be healthy. And welcome back to our final segment this morning of Healthy Living South Mississippi, Open Line Monday. Live healthy, be healthy with Dr. Jim and Janine Fox of Doctor's Nutrition, Callan Road at Gulfport, just south of Pash Road. Now, we had someone call in if we want to know if you have anything for depression or suggestions for someone that is depressed.
Oh, there's a lot of suggestions we have for that. You know, you mentioned something, and I think
5-HTP.
5-HTP, yeah. You know, if you're not taking something for depression, in other words, you're not taking one of the prescription medications already, then the 5-HTP, which is the precursor to serotonin, works wonderful. And there's been a lot of research in the past year or two about things, and this may take some changes, but there's been a lot of work that come out to show that the link between the gut and the brain, and of course that's where, like for instance, even in serotonin, we always thought about it as a neurochemical being brain thing, but they actually find out that maybe up to 90% of it's made in the gut. So there's a lot of things that we can do, and it doesn't happen overnight, but you can put Humpty Dumpty back together again, and there is hope. Okay, I think that's the big thing.
But like he said, is you can't take the 5-HTP with prescription antidepressants because they don't combine well together. Now, there's a couple things you can take with prescription antidepressants if you are already on an antidepressant, and there's lots of research coming out in this area. Omega-3 fatty acids, fish oil. The EPA and DHA, real high, they have to have a therapeutic strength, which we do have, so call us, and vitamin D3. Actually, those two things have been shown in double-blind studies to work as well for depression as some of the medications, but it takes longer for them to work. They're not an instant. So I do tell people it takes a little time.
Right.
There is something called SAMe, S-adenosylmethionine. And that actually helps depression. So you got that can help depression. So there's a lot of things that you can do. And we always say, make sure there's no underlying problems. Iron deficiency makes depression. Make sure you're not iron deficient, but don't just take iron because not everybody needs it. Make sure your thyroid is working properly because an underactive or an overactive thyroid can make depression.
Either one.
An adrenal problem can make depression. So for one, find out your underlying problems. But there are, even if there's no underlying problems, there are other things to help depression.
And a good way to do that is get some blood work done.
Yes,
well, that's
definitely.
the only way to do it. Yeah, that's right.
All right, 896-0713, 800-349-0713. We have just a few minutes left in our final segment here this morning. Weekly special this week.
Well, yeah, I mean, we thought this is, since it's open line, we're not talking about anything specific. We looked at something that a lot of people are trying to get a little bit more protein in their diet, and they're having a little problem with it, maybe for breakfast or something. So our whey protein is just a good protein mix. You make you a little shake in the morning with something like that. Make sure you get the day started off right. And then detox greens, that's something, it's the green stuff that you probably aren't eating enough of. It's all in there.
Yeah,
and
it's a daily detox.
It's a daily
it's not
detox,
something you do just to detox. It's actually a daily detox because it's all the greens, and greens are very detoxifying, which is why it's called detox greens. But on the
Clean you out.
And on the whey protein, it's sweetened with stevia, so it's not sweetened with sugar. And it tastes actually really good. It's what I have for breakfast every day. So the whey protein, we figure that's something that a lot of people like to do for a breakfast, especially if you're not a breakfast eater. Do a little bit of something to get the day started off.
Right.
Jack from Ocean Springs is on the phone with a question about diabetes. Good morning, Jack.
Good morning. I have a problem when overnight my blood sugar will go up, and I don't understand why. And also, I'll go out for walks, and sometimes when I walk, my blood sugar will also go up. An example would be this morning. I got up, I drank 18 ounces of water. I went and walked 5,500 steps according to my pedometer. I got back, I rechecked. I waited a half hour, and I rechecked my blood sugar, and it went up about 11 points. And I don't understand why that's happening.
It's probably from what we call glycogen breakdown. Our body stores glucose or sugar as glycogen, and it's an energy source that we use when we're not eating. Like, for instance, overnight fasting, your body can break down glycogen. And a lot of people, that'll happen. Their blood sugar goes down when they're sleeping, and the body says, oh, okay, I need a little more, so it opens up some of this glycogen that we've got stored in the liver and in the muscles and so on. And it may be the same thing that you're doing, with your walking or exercise too. And one of the things that'll help, look back at that, that meal you had last night, for instance, and if it's still pretty high in carbs, maybe you need to increase a little bit more of the actual fats that you're taking in. Good fats now, for goodness sakes, it's good fats. Avocados, olive oil, coconut oil, those kind of things. The good fats will help you because if we can get you a little bit more toward a ketogenic state where you're burning a little more of that fat for energy, your body's not as dependent on these stored glycogens. And that sometimes helps these people a lot with
most
diabetes.
of the time, exercise helps the sugar go down, but
Right.
there are different. Are you real thin?
No, I'm about 5'11", 200 pounds.
Okay, so you're not.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, because it does make a difference. Real thin people, I find their blood sugar
They do,
tends
yeah.
to go up because
Yeah.
they don't have any fat to burn. But
True.
it usually exercise makes it go down.
Yeah.
But just
Yeah, I try at night to take a protein. I try to make my snacks protein or make myself like a protein smoothie type of thing.
How much fat are you getting in your diet?
good fat.
Good fat.
I'd have to say I don't know that I track that. I track the total fat and the saturated fat, but I don't.
What
I
you
don't
want to
track
look
the
at
amount.
is,
Yeah.
olive oil, walnut oil, coconut oil, some of the good fats that you're.
Yeah, I cook in olive oil.
Okay, that's good. And
Right.
like I said, maybe do some stuff, and maybe even eat some nuts at night.
Right.
That could make a difference too. But it is very common for diabetics to have higher sugar in the morning. Very common.
Very common.
Now, after exercise, it's not as common, but very common in the mornings. And also in the mornings, your cortisol, which is your stress hormone, is the highest, and the stress hormone also tends to make blood sugar higher.
Right.
So maybe even making sure that's not going too high in the mornings. But like I said, and exercise can also increase that stress hormone. So in your body, it may be that's triggering the sugar to go up. But you can have that checked. That's something that you can have checked to see.
Okay.
Okay?
You check the stress hormone is what you're saying.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
check that to see. Just because of the exercise thing. The morning thing is pretty common, but the exercise, that's not as common to go up after exercise, but some people's do.
It does,
Yeah.
and still, if we look at your BMI, your body mass index, if you're 5'11" and 200 pounds, yeah, you're a little overweight, and for that reason, we need to get the weight down. And one of the things to do there is cut out the carbs. Even some of the complex carbs can cause problems with people, depending on how insulin resistant you are. And that's something that's easily told. I mean, do the testing, find out what your fasting insulin is, see how insulin resistant you really are, and that can make a big difference in how you function. But something's going on in the physiology. We just got to dig in and find out what it is.
All right.
All right?
Thanks for the call, Jack.
Yeah, thanks, Jack.
We have just a couple of minutes left. 896-0713, 800-349-0713. If you have a question for the doctors regarding anything, as far as you having some problems with, some issues with, you're just trying to get some tips to lead a healthier lifestyle, because that's what this show is all about.
That's what it's all about. Yeah. It really is.
So, we talked earlier about allergies and things like that. Shrimp season kicked off today.
Yeah.
So it'll be some good seafood here soon.
Yeah.
Definitely, and which is good for you.
Which is
Yeah,
good for you.
it
right.
is.
Right.
It is.
Very good
It's
for you.
lower carbohydrate, higher protein, and so it's definitely something that we suggest. It's on our good list on our foods.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, they have that. They have the diet that you can go by and pick up. It's a low glycemic diet.
Yes.
And get on that.
It's a good place to start.
Yes, and it's really good. What are we talking about next week?
Well, we're going to talk about urinary tract health.
Yeah.
A very
Okay.
common problem that we see clinically all the time.
I see a lot of people have chronic problems with the urinary tract, especially women. And so we're going to talk about some of the things you can do for prevention and things to do to maybe help the problem so you don't have it long term.
Right.
All right, and the doctors are open, coming up at 10 o'clock this morning, 10 to 5:30 Monday through Friday, and 11 to 2 on Saturdays. We will see you next week. Have a great week.